Hi, guys. I know everyone is getting ready to end the term, but I think maybe the last technology application presentation. I wanted to share with you a tech activity that I do with a couple of different classes of mine. First of all, I guess my activity is going to look a little bit different because I do teach teachers for the most part. And the majority of them are elementary educators. In addition to that, I also teach math content, but educators are where the majority of my coursework is conducted. So, as part of a unit, and the other activities that go in support of this will be part of my activity sequence, but as part of the unit that I do, both in my elementary math methods course, in the past when I've taught in elementary educational content technology class, I've used this activity, and I also in the past have used it in a graduate course, which we use to help those who have completed a degree in another content area but are coming back to get education credentials. So the goal of this activity is to use a technology, or it's a website, it's a tool called Edpuzzle. And Edpuzzle is really a way to create an instructional video or take a pre-created instructional video and embed your own questions. You can even do voiceover. My research this term is on the flipped classroom, and one of the most vital pieces of information that I have uncovered through my research is that when the flipped classroom is found to be effective, there is always some form of interaction within the instructional videos that are used for that outside of class lecture time. Also, my students find this very valuable because many of them right now are in mentor classrooms where virtual learning is taking place, and that's a little bit challenging to do given our current circumstances. Again, this is not the only activity they do. There are applications where students communicate and interact with each other, but this is purely the tech activity they use to generate the instructional portion of the lesson. So I wanted to share with you, it's about a 1-minute video. It's just an introduction to what an Edpuzzle is.
To create amazing video lessons in minutes, Edpuzzle is your missing piece. With Edpuzzle, you can choose from the millions of videos available from YouTube, National Geographic, TED Talks, Khan Academy, and more. You can also reuse ready-to-go video lessons made by other teachers or upload your very own teaching video. Then use Edpuzzle's video editor to create your perfect lesson. Embed your own questions to check your students' understanding. Cut sections to show your students only the most important parts of the video, and even record voiceover so you can explain concepts in your own words. Once you finish, you can assign it to your students in just one click and prevent skipping to make sure your students don't miss a thing. When you want to check in on your students' progress, use Edpuzzle's hassle-free analytics to get all the information you need. See who still needs to watch the video, what your students responded, and their total scores. So remember, with Edpuzzle's free platform, you can make any video your lesson.
Okay, so that's just a general introduction as to what Edpuzzle does. Like I said, many of my students choose to bring in Math Antics, which is, it's very animated and humorous explanation of basic math concepts, and they embed their own questions in that. Some of them choose to do other types of videos, Khan Academy occasionally, okay, that they see as well. So Edpuzzle itself, if you go to the website, and I am logged in here under my account, but it is free for teachers to make an account. You can create your own account simply by going to sign up. You can create a free account as a teacher. If I were going to kind of walk through all of the how you do this, we would be here for much longer than the 10 or 15 minutes. But what I like most about Edpuzzle, and when I include this in the technology-based course, I require the students to or to go through there's a training module on how you can become proficient at using this. So if you join that training module, again, it can walk you through from basics to end on how to use all of the tools and all of the features of Edpuzzle. Again, one of the greatest things about it is that you can have students join your classroom. You can see what their performance is. So you do get some data generated from what's going on in that aspect. You do know if they've skipped the questions, how many they've gotten wrong. It's very informative in times when we are trying to generate some sort of information transfer in a situation where we cannot always be face to face. When I assign this to my students, again, it depends on exactly which class the assignment's in, but the general process is that my undergrads are assigned to a mentor teacher, and they're doing anywhere from 25 to 50 hours of observation time in a classroom, depending upon the class and their level. They're going to choose a math standard. If it's in the technology class, they can choose any content standard because that's not a math-based course. And they're going to create and design an Edpuzzle to fit that specific learning target. And that should be decided collaboratively with their mentor teacher so that they can actually use it in that class. So they're going to have to submit that to me on Canvas along with a date in which they're going to pilot the video in the classroom and how exactly it is that they're going to solicit feedback from the students. So I allow my educators to choose and decide how they're going to get that feedback because, as we all know, getting data from formative assessment is a valuable piece of instruction. And sometimes we do different kinds of activities that it may be a little bit more of a challenge to figure out how we're going to get that feedback. So for them, that's part of what I consider part of the experience. So they have to submit that plan to me on Canvas. They're going to get some feedback from me, just some general feedback. In the meantime, they're going to create the interactive video. They can either choose a pre-made video, something they found on YouTube. I do tend to discourage Khan Academy for very young elementary students because it's not always as kid-friendly as it should be, but it's completely up to them. They also can create one from scratch. And once they've created it, they will share it with a peer, another pre-service teacher in our classroom, and they will give each other some plus delta feedback. If you're not sure what that is, it basically just tells your partner what you like about this and what you might want to change. Plus, of course, would be the positive, and the delta would be this is what I would change if I were going forward. And then they're going to do some editing. They're finally going to use this in the classroom, either in centers or some other mechanism decided by them and their mentor teacher. And once that is over, they are going to collect feedback from the students and feedback from their mentor. I ask them to usually tell me how they want to collect that feedback, what types of things they want the students to tell them and the mentor teacher to tell them, and they design that themselves. Once that's all said and done, the students themselves are then assessed on the Edpuzzle and the feedback and all of the information that they've given me. And this is sort of the rubric that I use for them. Their Edpuzzle that they make actually has to match the standard or the target that they tell me it's going to be about. There shouldn't be any content errors there. It's presented in a professional manner. They're using good grammar. It's appropriate for the grade level. Edpuzzle questioning demonstration includes varying levels of learning and question types. We don't just want yes or no questions. They need to kind of vary that up. The student exhibits reflection appropriate to feedback given by the students and mentor. So after they view that feedback, they're going to, of course, write a lesson reflection to that as well. And I make sure that based on what they see, they are appropriately reflective about that process. And then the student participates fully in the development process. So if they are not participating in the editing or not making the edits, or at least justifying why they haven't made the edits, or any of those things, if they've not attended or not participated or have not become fully immersed in the process, then that might be some points right there. Or if they their partner has had some situations where they've not given feedback to their partner, that might be the points there that would reflect that. So again, this is not necessarily an activity that's going to teach math per se. It is an activity that I use to teach teachers that would be helpful for them in creating a center where they might want to provide some instruction, or create a great option for virtual learning, which is definitely necessary right now. And in addition, would be useful, a proper and effective tool in a flipped classroom. So if you have additional questions or feedback for me, thank you so much for taking a look, and feel free to give me your best advice.